Tout d'abord, je voudrais m'excuser pour mon mauvais français. Ça fait presque 20 ans depuis que je n'ai pas parlé en français, donc pardonnez-moi, mais je ferai de mon mieux. Tá géir toú le brnar mar níl dóhan Frankie se go carbe le bheithem cheasa bh nóbhacht déanaine mí Hilarinos. I'm very grateful to everyone who's invited me here to Sinead especially, agus le clíana sachtan méid dúirta fan gur míle maithe. Nílamach an beidir sédán a léh, and each poem that I read as Gaeilge will be followed by one of my translations to English, agus et suivi d'une traduction par Clina aussi pour 3 ou 4 bit. So it gives me great pleasure to think of my poems being carried over into another language and coming to life in another language, especially as for the past while a lot of my new work has been focused on linguistics and the friction between native and dominant languages. And in particular, I've grown very fond of a speech that I read by Herta Müller on translation, and she said in that speech, each language has different eyes sitting inside its words, and I really find that that's true in the case of Irish and English, et pour français aussi, je crois. So toso mele don as Gaeilge agus úsáideann sé Skype. This first one uses Skype to explore fractures in language and relationships. I suppose in our era of modern communication, a lot of my generation have emigrated, and so Skype has become almost like our connection with home for a lot of people and with family. So it's important. Dléir. Ní cheanglíonn ein chóir de chuil, ein shrang telephone sin níos mó. I réimsin a riverí, ní higlam do rá a bhrú níos gura gomach luas. Ní chluisim tú ag anáú. Anis sé an lína lag seo an tain cheangal a bháin atá fáca adrin, agus titimid as a chéile, a ríis is a ríis eile. Call. No slender thread, no telephone cord binds us anymore. Now that our computers call each other, I can't press your voice to my ear. No longer can I hear you breathe. Now we are bound only by a weak connection, and we break up and break up and break up. Agus níos fáil tomaid, oops, go leis cin príomh clína chun éileabh Frankie stuin.
Appel. Aucune corde fine ne nous relie. Aucun cordon téléphonique non plus. Pendant cette ère informatique, mon oreille ne peut pas se rapprocher du son de ta voix. Je ne t'entends plus respirer. De nos jours, le seul lien est ce fil fragile qui reste entre nous et qui se coupe encore et encore et encore.
Merci beaucoup, Clina. Et puisque nous sommes à Paris, comment ne pas lire un poème des vêtements, mais peut-être pas en ce cas de haute couture. J'adore des magasins d'antiquité et j'aime vraiment des vieux vêtements. So I really love vintage clothes shops, and I think that they give us something really interesting and rare as adults, where you're allowed to open up the dress-up box that you have as a child and to put on a really old hat or, you know, an old pair of shoes and imagine yourself assuming someone else's life. And this poem speaks to that. It's called While Bleeding. In a vintage boutique on Sullivan's Quay, I lift a winter coat with narrow bodice, neat lapels, tight waist, a fallen hem. It's far too expensive for me, but the handwritten label 1915 brings it to my chest in armfuls of red. In that year, someone drew a blade through a bolt of fabric and stitched this coat into being. I carry it to the dressing room, slip my arms in. Silk lining spills against my skin. I clasp the belt and draw a slow breath as a cramp curls again where blood stirs and melts. In glass, I am wrapped in the weight of old red. Red pinched into girl cheeks and smeared from torn knees. Lipstick blotted on tissue. All the red bled into pads and rags. The weight of red. The weight for red that we share. In the mirror, the old coat blushes. This pocket may once have sheltered something precious. A necklace, a love letter, or a fresh egg, feather warm, its shell brittle around a hidden inner glow, held loosely so it couldn't crack, couldn't leak through seams, so it couldn't stain the dress within.
Pendant que je saigne. Dans une boutique vintage sur Sullivan's Quay, je m'empare d'un manteau d'hiver au buste étroit, au revers fin, bien cintré, à l'ourlet défait. C'est beaucoup trop cher pour moi, mais l'étiquette écrite à la main, 1915, m'incite à serrer contre moi cette couleur rouge. Cette année-là, on a taillé un lait de tissu pour coudre ce manteau, point par point. Je le porte à la cabine d'essayage, mes bras se glissent dedans. La doublure en soie se répand contre ma peau. Je serre la ceinture, inspire lentement, alors qu'une crampe s'enroule encore là où le sang s'agite et se fond. Dans la glace, je suis enveloppée du poids du vieux rouge, le rouge pincé des joues de jeune fille, le rouge barbouillé des genoux écorchés, le joug taché du bâton à lèvres, le rouge sang des serviettes et torchons, le poids du rouge, cette attente du rouge que l'on partage. Dans le miroir, le vieux manteau rougit. Cette poche a peut-être abrité une chose précieuse, un collier, une lettre d'amour ou un œuf tout frais pondu à la chaleur des plumes. Sa coquille cassante protège une lueur interne cachée. On le tient sans le serrer pour qu'il ne se fêle pas, qu'il ne coule pas, qu'il ne tache pas la robe à l'intérieur.
J'aime ça. Merci beaucoup, Cliona. I'm very struck by the fact with that quote that I'll never know what happened to it before I got to try it on, because I really did get to try it on. It was one of those strange poems that arose from a real moment, and I'll never know what happened to it afterwards. But I like that tonight has become a chapter in that quote's history now, and that we've shared that moment. So Garmila Mahata, Cliona. A lot of my work speaks to the connections between women and to the female body, and this next poem is for my little girl who is here with me somewhere nearby with her dad. And things went very badly wrong at the end of our pregnancy, and both of us were in danger. But I wrote this poem while I was still on spinal morphine in strange little snatches and fragments, and so it's kind of a weird poem, but I want to, every time I read it, I think of all the women who at this moment are walking the corridors of maternity hospitals in pain and giving birth, this most amazing and most ordinary of things. And I want to dedicate this to the women of Paris right now, walking the corridors right now. And we're lucky we're here rather than in that situation. Call it a hospital, and it is, but call it a hive, and it splits into divisions where we become bees, hovering, nectar flecked. At night, the hive pulses with the buzz of breast pumps, dull drone of rush and suck and rush and suck. We grip phials of yellow nectar and flit and flicker through dawn-dark corridors to neonatal ICU. Below, in soft brood chambers, our young wait for us. We are a swarm of bees, of which I am only one, and you are another, my final child, girl of honey-spun tull. I fill your ears with new words. Let my voice become the first to touch the spiral of your cochlea. I say froth and cusp. I say rushed and blood. I tremble and say cloud and dandelion and plum. All night I goo and gaw in your sleeping ear, clumps of words spilling from me, a mess of morphine jumbled syllables. And oh, my love, imagine all the floors above us that brim and buzz. Can you hear the chorus that we have become? The next poem I chose, because of where we're reading tonight, really, and the title is Crackalure, which I could probably attempt to pronounce more correctly, but I don't really have the confidence. But the roots of this word are in French, craqueler. I don't know, could someone correct me? Crackle? To crackle. So it's a term in art history for the fine web of cracks that form on an oil painting with age. And that reminded me when you drop a mobile phone and the screen smashes and you're and this kind of like a strange black ink that seeps out of the cracks in the glass sometimes. So this is a new poem, Crackalure. Her tracksuit is pink velour, her earlobes prettily golden hooped, and she shivers as we all do in this dim cold queue. At 5:56, some glitch, some distraction, some finger twitch slips the phone from her grip and sends it smashing into the pavement. We all flinch. Soon, the bus is jolting us through streets and suburbs and into the dark. Night makes a mirror of the window and makes me a spy. I sit behind her and pry. I watch her fingers flick over the fractured glass, jabbing its lattice of cracks where the clock's digits progress still. Their splintered italics eclipse a child's smile, his face grown suddenly lined. A little ink begins to leak under the rift, liquid as the dark that seeps up from the horizon at dusk. It grows dark. Oh, it grows dark and darker. Take us back, driver. Lurch this bus into reverse. Suspend all arrival times. As a conservator rewinds the lines that grow from a painting's tempera eyes, bring us back. Let her lift her phone from the path unharmed. In the queue, she will shiver and check the time, sigh at the child's smile, check her texts, then slide the phone back in her pockets, its digits clicking to 5:59. Níl go don fóca gom so tam an cé ceanella actually is don Béarla town. I've been living in Cork City since I was 17, now half my life. So it's kind of seeped into a lot of my poems. And this one is called From Richmond Hill. When I wrote it, I was very taken with the sense that we have with small children of telling them the story of where they come from and of who they've sprung from and the story of their family and where they belong. From Richmond Hill. Home from hospital, you doze in my arm, milk drunk, all eyelashes, cheeks and raw umbilical, swaddled in the heavy black smells of the brewery. Your great-grandfathers worked all their lives in that factory. Every day they were there, breathing the same air, hoisting barrels, sweating over vats where black bubbles rose like fat. At dusk, they poured into pubs and ordered porter, neat black pints lidded with white silk, thick as cream from frothing milk, and their replies were always the same, the gasp, the nod. Down gullets and guts went the porter, went the pay, went the nights and the days, every day the same, coins slapped on the counter, no change. In my arms you stir. 1,000 street lamps flicker to light in the dusk. As I watch your eyes open, the reek of roasting hops knits a blanket of scent around us. Agus an don dernach is don cin haldóna ta ann. My last poem, I always have to rush to explain it before I read it because it's very much a tongue-in-cheek poem. And it's a poem about mothers-in-law, and it's a composite poem. It's not based on anyone in particular. The last time that I read it, my own mother-in-law was in the room, so I had to do a lot of reassurance. And she made me promise every time I would read it afterwards to say that she never does anything that's involved in this poem, ever. Malacht. Gwym mohar chéle art a hiogach majan daunig gan chnaga. Le slacht chur de chiach, mars ceart. A lagach na téide duan alle rausien gach balle, a curt dostole a lumblúbe is ia canna tune le Journée, in de keenes a gocha. A ogach gach shomra skiopa scoopa, kira korha, na duan alle kailte, an teir tov le gonil mil toga fa shachtana in a diog. Mashri valacht earth, mohar chele mar sha, javesa is balvacht. Curse. I wish you a mother-in-law who would saunter up on a Sunday morning without knocking to tidy your home as it should be done correctly. A woman who'd swipe at the cobwebs that dangle dance on every wall, her feathered duster jigging, a wild roller coastering, and she would be singing, shrill and free, Joni Mitchell probably. I wish you this woman who'd leave every room spick and span, immaculate, every spider squished, leaving the air thick with whining houseflies for weeks after her. A triple curse. May you be jinxed with a mother-in-law like this, with impeccable manners and a buttoned lip. Gurmila Mahagay.
Nuala Ní Dhomhnaill was born in England to Irish parents and sent to live with her grandmother in the Kerry Gaeltacht at a young age. She writes in Irish. Engaged, as she once said in the New York Review of Books, in making the corpse sit up and write back. But as we've heard earlier, the corpse is very much alive. She has written 5 collections of poetry. Her work is remarkable for the interaction between mythology and ordinary life. Fairies and mermaids abound, but they wield Black and Deckers, and the mermaids go to see psychotherapists. I think that of all of the many awards and acclaim that Nuala has received for her poetry. Perhaps the most obvious one today is the fact that all Irish people, wherever they go in the world, carry her poems with them in the most tangible correlative of the importance of poetry in Irish public life, because a verse of one of Nuala's poems figures on the pages of the Irish passport. Please welcome Nuala Ní Dhomhnaill.
Gur míle agad a chléana tá mana bhuach as fehansa agus tá mana bhuach don Centre Culturel as mé thuirtansa agus go háir de hinnéad atá déanamh aber úntachansa I gás na ceol agus I gás na litríochta. It's wonderful that what Sinead is doing here, as the ambassador said, the footfall or the foot that she has made in her only 6 months here already is incredible, and is from what I see in the catalogue is going to be continued, and this is really wonderful. Now I'll be reading in Irish, and because I only write poetry in Irish, and Cliona will very thankfully, hopefully and thankfully, translate me in French. And unlike Doireann, she's only been 20 years since she spoke French. It's been 50 years since I learned French. So I'm afraid I can't really trust myself. So I'm going to have to speak in English. Tus nó mé le dán a bhaineann le atá annaháchtach dósa sa bhéidir go bhaineann sé leis an teanga. This is a poem about the Irish language. Ceist na teangan. Gab mé leis gilnas cá mé an spíochla chuirsiú. Cuirim mogóchas snáb I mádín teangam, fé mar I leagfán níonán I gléomháin, a bheith fitte fuirte de dhialóga fellastrum, is bitumen is pic bheith cimmilte lena háin. An san é leagas síos sa meas na ngeolcach, is cuigeal na man sí le taobh na háin. Fiachant nad a ríis gá dúirigh an strathe. Fiachant dá le bhuis, an bhórigh I nín orin.
La question de la langue. Je place mon espoir sur l'eau, dans ce petit bateau de la langue, comme on mettrait un nouveau-né dans un berceau de feuilles d'iris entrelacées, calfatées de bitume et de pois, puis déposerait l'ensemble parmi les joncs et les roseaux au bord du fleuve, pour voir où le courant l'emporterait, pour voir si, comme Moïse, il finirait sur les genoux d'une fille de Pharaon.
I think what I tried to do in Irish was express the life of a woman living in Ireland in the second half of the 20th century. And as Cliona said, I have the tradition against me because a great friend of mine and a great teacher of mine, John Riordan, said, Ní fille ach filiach the an van. Now, I was out of the country when he wrote that and when he published it. And so maybe if I had been in the country, we would have had a bit of a talk about it. But that was hugely the tradition. Even in the oral tradition, I mean, we have triads, like the three rules about drinking. To be able to buy it, to be able to drink it, and to be able to carry the drink. The three rules about the three bad things that can happen to a village. Theodor fluch, shieldador tuv agus filamana. Somebody who thatches, leaving holes. Somebody who broadcasts seed too closely, and a woman poet. And I mean, that is self-explanatory, and that is what we come from. So really, what I've tried to do was, like I said, express what it's like to be a woman. And this is a love poem that I wrote. Labbahiada. The choron labbahuit I labbahiada sa bhéir ard fé umra scail na ground. Is vechat a cricanán mar hiada hiada. Sa dirichach dam lonithe na lawn. Crican na hníon go gléineach ar de géaga mar bhaine á gáil as crúscíní am láin. Is tréad gáir a gháil tar cnocáin de chud gruige, cnocáin ar bhfuil feilte áda is gá leann atá dain. Is bheach de bheola taise ar bhísleach thiúcre tránóna sin is spaisteúireach go seán. Is na gaithe meala séide ar an sionna, is na fiúsí a banúdait ceann ar cheann. Na fiúsí ag í slú a gan amhuirga, ag úlú síos den áileachtas a gáir. Is de friúcin peiricha mar thugar líní, is de bhaisiúin de chluasa mar bhí dóg. Ó chóráin lebagait I lebagéide, le hauscannach an lei I near a hawl. Is ba bhór an pléisiúr dún bheith géaga ar géaga, a gomrascáil, am lonithe na leann.
L'Abbé Hirde. Je te ferai un lit à l'Abbé Hirde, dans les herbes hautes, sous les arbres aux branches entrelacées. Ta peau serait comme soie sur soie dans l'obscurité, à l'heure où descendent les phalènes. Ta peau chatoyerait, satin de tes membres, telle la crème que l'on déverse des jarres à l'heure du déjeuner. Tes cheveux seraient un troupeau de cabris gravissant des collines donnant sur de hautes falaises et de profondes vallées. Et tes lèvres seraient humides, douces comme du sucre le soir venu, et nous nous promènerions au bord du fleuve. Des brises chargées de miel souffleraient sur le Shannon. Les haies de fuchsia s'inclineraient devant toi, une à une. Les fuchsias courberaient leur noble tête en signe de respect pour la beauté s'offrant à eux. Je cueillerais 2 fleurs, afin d'en faire des boucles d'oreilles et de t'apprêter comme une jeune épouse. Oh, je te ferai un lit à la Bahirda, au crépuscule, quand la nuit tombe, et grand serait notre plaisir de nous y entrelacer, telles des branches d'arbres, à l'heure où descendent les phalènes.
I was not going to read this poem, but when I'm inspired by Doireann's poems to small children, because in the kind of feminist thing that I grew up in, you know, and I'm still a feminist, but there was an idea that children kind of get in the way of poetry. And I remember thinking, no, there's something wrong about that. And what I found is that children actually become the muse. They become something that makes you write poetry. And this poem is about breastfeeding. And, you know, I still think there are lots of poems. For instance, where are all the pregnancy poems? You know, half the human race has been in this condition many times, and where are all the pregnancy poems? Mind you, we do lose a few million brain cells at the time, but that might have something to do with it. But I think afterwards we get them back. At least I hope we do. So this poem is about that moment when you're breastfeeding and when there's a symbiotic relationship between you and the baby, and you're not really sure where the child starts and where you end, and likewise. And I use a lot of the formulaic phrases from the Fianna stories in Irish, because they have this wonderful sort of élan in them. And I thought that would be part of the story. This Julia Kristeva talks about it, this level of the chora, which is under the symbolic, which is the first language that we hear maybe, or that we speak. A cohulinif. As ceol mala an bhaine, as brothal scamalach moihil, Eiléan Ní Ghríofa de Gríom na Muelcnach, mar gini óir le cur it glach a stór. Ólan tú de há chiach is titin siar it huan, isteach a dair a buan, tá gára de gnúis, catá gháil trí de cheann, tu san áfuilach le caici sound. An ólit an lá ó níthe go bhfuil mochráig bhuair a fógart ráirta, go bhfuil na báid go dain sa bharige mar a bhfuil éis gus rónt is mílta móra a teacht ar bhuis is ar bhais is ar hecht madí rátha, go bhfuil de bháidí na snáb órós a chuan leis na lapadáin, maranáin, ige slím sleán ó hain go ceann a chur gran na farige in uachtar is cuair na farige in íochttar. Arra sa ile an bhuilir fé na hím, is do góir na beaga a gháilt ar ma chiach. Tá tú a gnúsach le taineh a meanga le mi chial, fiacham san aigart a lineh is neidir an bheadaríis go bhfuil de bhólach de gníir i dalamh na bhathach, a sládas a bradíochttas nach fada go glasise tú an fi ó fam a teach tar de ghfuilne in ír. Tá sa mó bhicína chuig ar an marga a ganna ge baile a fuair a rán agus im is náfuair dada. Is mórlam de gréimte agus is beaglam de gágréim. Is mailam do chud feola ach ní mailam do chud anara. Is céiad pátrún bhanig na lech is na bhathach. Man ar thusa is mise.
En donnant le sein. Dans la brume du miel de l'allaitement, dans la chaleur vaporeuse du lait du nouveau-né, le soleil se lève derrière les collines rebondies, comme une pièce d'or, à mettre dans ta main, oh mon trésor. Tu têtes tout ton content à mon sein, puis tu replonges endormi dans un rêve éternel. Une petite mimique esquissée sur ton visage. Mais qu'est-ce qui peut bien te passer par la tête, toi qui n'as que 15 jours? Distingues-tu le jour de la nuit, le grand reflux qui annonce la marée printanière? Sais-tu que les bateaux voguent au large, là où vivent les phoques, les poissons et les grandes baleines, puis reviennent à la force des bras de leurs hommes, chacun pourvu de cette rame? Sais-tu que ton petit navire aux lignes pures, de la proue à la poupe, glisse dans la baie, avec les êtres à nageoires et les petites créatures marines ramenant le sable des abysses à la surface, renvoyant l'écume vers les profondeurs? Sais-tu tout cela? Tandis que tes petites mains agrippent mon sein, tu grognes de plaisir, souriant pour rien. Je te contemple, mon enfant, et je ne sais si tu sais que ton troupeau broute sur la terre des ogres pillant et des rebans, et que bientôt l'Amstramgram venu de l'ouest résonnera à ton oreille. Tu es mon petit cochon qui est allé au marché, qui à la maison est resté, qui a eu du rôti, qui n'en a pas eu mis. Je te trouve un peu grande pour une seule bouchée, mais trop petite pour deux. J'aime bien ta chair, mais pas son bouillon. Et dis-moi donc, qui sont les modèles des héros et des géants, si ce n'est toi et moi?
My eldest daughter was very much amused. She was the cause of many poems, probably because I had very confused emotions about the relationship between myself and my mother, and this daughter then kind of became a focus for it. The first poem I wrote about her is called Dawn the Melissa, and I made a big mistake because I put her name in it. Because at one stage it was on the leaving cert, and people would come up to her in pubs and say, "Are you the Melissa of Dawn the Melissa?" And she'd say, "I've a perfectly good life of my own outside that goddamn poem." And it's only now in her 30s that she has forgiven me. But this is the poem, Dawn the Melissa. Ma fástín fiún a rinke green na díthe, ribín it cheann is fáinní óir de bhéanta. Dit sin nafil fós ach a chuig nó séad a bblianta, tíalacham gach a bhfuil sa dain, mín. An gearcach éin a léimtas táin na nide, an fellistrum a pecha in sa diag, an part an glas sa siúl fír sceach an éta, is leat sa iad le tuairt féinara a níon. Bheith an dábh a súgra leis an madra alta, an níonán a gleachas leis an nahar ní, léithach an leon síos leis an nuan cairach, sa dain uair nó a bhrannin ort, mín. Bheith gataí an gádaín ar letha gomach is go déanach. Ní bheith clite lastra gá ara i Caribbean, níor gága dilúr fiige mar náprún íochtar sa dain uair nó a bhrannin ort, mín. Sa inim bháin, seo dearbhú ó the bhárthín, go mérim mar lábhgait an ghealachas an íréan, is go seasan le mo chorp féin idir gá bhró an bhuilean. In bhfuil today, chun na melfito, mín.
Poème pour Mélissa. Ma petite tête blonde, dansant au cœur de la dune, un ruban dans tes cheveux, des anneaux d'or à tes doigts, toi qui n'as que 5 ou 6 ans, Je te donne tout ce qu'il y a de ce doux monde. L'oisillon prenant son envol du fond de son nid, l'iris et ses racines dans le fossé, le crabe vert avançant prudemment de côté. Ils sont pour toi, ma fille, pour que tu apprennes. Le bœuf jouerait avec le loup, le nouveau-né avec le serpent, le lion se coucherait près de l'agneau, dans ce nouveau monde que je t'offrirai avec tendresse. Le portail du jardin serait éternellement ouvert. Il n'y aura pas d'épée flamboyante entre les mains du chérubin. Nul besoin d'habiller tes hanches d'une feuille de figuier dans ce nouveau monde que je t'offrirai avec tendresse. Oh, ma fille chérie, voilà ce qui te dit ta maman. Je t'offrirai la lune et le soleil, et je mettrai mon corps sous la meule dans les moulins de Dieu, pour que tu ne sois pas finement moulu.
Unlike that poem of Doireann's, this is actually about a person, this poem on Crown. My mother got a fit one day and came around to our house with a Black & Decker, and she did a lot of damage. It was all for my good, you know. It was all because she has to make me respectable. So I wrote down basically what happened. And then I said, God, that's a good poem, but I can never publish it. She'll murder me. So I cut off Hánig Mhór. I took off Mhór and I put down Banalassa. And Banalassa is this kind of banshee, this imaginary primordial creature that I kind of invented, this woman from the fairy fort. And I said, great. Not only does it, you know, will I be able to publish it, but it makes it a better poem because it's abstract. Because I'm a great believer of what Emily Dickinson, tell all the truth, but tell it slant. And so this is the poem that came out of it. On Crown. The Hánig Banalassa le Black & Decker. The Yarshi and Nuas mo Crown. Dana sa mónse go fiechandire, vad a verich sin na branchi ceann ceann. Hánig mar céile bhaile tránóna, cnic sé an Crown. Bhí an gubh deargar ní nach chúna dúirte. Caléibh nar stoppaí, nó cad is dóile, cad a ceapach sí dá bhaintse, Black & Decker agus dulchanatí agus Crown so a bhuinis le a dhearan nuas sa gárdín. Hánig Banalassa harnais madan. Thís fós a géim a bhric fást. Dír siúrum cadút mar céile. Dúirsa le cadút sé go núirte cad is dóile is cad a ceapach sí dá bhaach sé siúd Black & Decker agus dulchanatí agus Crown a bhuinis le a dhearan nuas sa gárdín. Oh, se. That's very interesting. Bhí béim an very. Bhí cling leis an ing. The láirsi an na hiúin. Well, bin malasa péir bis a taile úntathe bunas ciún. Heit an táin asma bholag is fé mar a dheoin lasca cic nó lecadars na buáin lí an téma núine a stachar am a dhéon chálag san me gur be réigen a bhí ardú na méranam a san go ceann 3 lá. Mar a bunan is an Crown a ganam slán.
L'aubépine. La bienfaitrice est arrivée avec sa scie Black & Decker. Elle a abattu mon aubépine. Comme une idiote, je l'ai regardée faire. Elle a coupé les branches une par une. Mon mari est rentré le soir. Il a vu l'aubépine. Il est devenu rouge de rage, ce qui n'est pas surprenant. Il a dit « Pourquoi tu ne l'as pas arrêtée ? Que pensait-elle ? Que dirait-elle si moi je prenais une scie Black & Decker et si j'allais chez elle et si j'abattais son aubépine dans son jardin ?» La bienfaitrice est revenue le lendemain matin. Je prenais encore mon petit déjeuner. Elle m'a demandé ce qu'avait dit mon mari. Je lui ai dit ce qu'il m'a dit. Et qu'il avait dit, que dirait-elle ? Et que penserait-elle s'il lui prenait sa scie Black & Decker et s'il allait chez elle et s'il abattait son aubépine à elle dans son jardin à elle ? Oh, dit-elle, c'est very interesting. Il y avait de l'insistance sur le very et un tintement avec le ing. Elle parlait tout doucement. Bon, en tout cas, voilà ma journée sans dessus-dessous. Le bas de mon ventre est tombé comme si j'avais reçu un coup de pied dans le derrière ou un coup de poing dans les reins. Je me suis évanouie. Je suis restée si faible que je n'ai pas pu lever le petit doigt pendant 3 jours. Ce n'était pas le cas de l'aubépine, qui restait plantée là, sans changer de mine.
Yeah. Thank you. I think that's a wonderful translation. I'll just finish with a poem called Cuine an Uisce, and it's from a series of poems that I wrote. I was trying to deal with language change, and I was trying to talk about the people that I come from, the Irish-speaking communities of the west of Ireland, where the idea of the individual has not really, even now, still quite percolated up from the kind of amoeba, which is the community. And I was wondering, how will I deal with that? And I said, right, I'll invent a whole lot of people coming up from the amniotic fluid of Irish onto the cruel rocks of English. And it kind of took off. And there was these mer people I invented. And what happens, though, is when they come up on land, of course, they are in denial. They don't want to know about anything to do with water. So that's okay for the first generation. But what happens with the second generation, who are occasionally come into contact with water when they have no way of describing it, or they don't know what it is? And that's why my mermaids end up a lot in the psychoanalyst's couch. So this is the second generation now, and this is what happens to them. Cuine an Uisce. Uaireanta nuair a bhí na hinnín sa seomar folca, a glanna a fiachla le sléad tuamh is le sód bacála, tigtar de go léanann an seomra suas le hiisce. Tá snéintí ar a cosa is a rotíní, is bín sé slibberáil suas a ríis ar a másaí is a cromáin is a básta. Ní fada go mbíonn sí suas go dtí na hoscadíre. Cromann sí síosan go minic I peocha suas rudaí mar huáilí láimhe nó curteacha atá ar muesan. Tá cumann na femannaíortha, na scothó go fada celpa úda dugadis gruig vaiden vara nó erbal vadri ruartha. An son go haban ten an tiisce iníisc is ní fada go míon an seomra omláin trim a ríist. Tá stras uásach a graint leis na mothúchain sa go léir. Treis an tail, níl rudidir bethe cé chun cúmparáid a dhéanamh leis. Is níl na focail cearta rólas a cé ar churar be. Ag an sesiún psychotherapach seachta núl, bíon na dóhan dú a cé ag ggéire an scéal eisteach seo a bhí nú, is a chuir inúl I gceart don bheabhar dochtúr. Níl éon teirmíocht a cé, ná teirmí tagartha, ná focail ar be a thóraach an tuairim is lú do cadé isce. Lacht tréhearachach a der sí, a déanamh a crin díhil. Se a dearn an therapy cuinemh ort, bín sé á molla is á gríosa chun gníomh tangan. Dinan sí iirecht eile. Sléad tamí a thugann sí air. I a tóireacht go cuairmach I meas na bhacail. Brat gléineach, ábhar silteach, rud fluch. And those last 3 attempts at trying to describe water are very inadequate. I mean, rud fluch is a very inadequate way of describing water. And so I think that about people in Ireland who deny the reality of Irish are also have a very inadequate reaction to reality. So, Sinead, ma fointe.
Mémoire de l'eau. Quelquefois, quand la fille de la sirène est dans la salle de bain, elle se nettoie les dents avec une brosse épaisse et du bicarbonate de soude. Elle a l'impression que la pièce se remplit d'eau. Cela commence à ses pieds et à ses chevilles, et cela glisse de plus en plus haut par-dessus ses cuisses et ses hanches et sa taille. Et en un rien de temps, cela arrive à ses aisselles. Elle s'incline, s'y plonge pour saisir des choses, comme des gants de toilette et serviettes, qui trempent dedans. Ces choses ressemblent toutes à des algues, comme ces longues mèches de varech qu'on appelait cheveux de sirène ou queue de renard. L'eau se retire tout aussi vite. Et en un rien de temps, toute la pièce est à nouveau sèche. Une terrible inquiétude se mêle à ses sentiments. Finalement, elle n'a aucun point de comparaison. Elle ne connaît pas du tout les mots justes. À sa séance hebdomadaire de psychothérapie, elle trouve assez difficile d'expliquer cette étrange histoire et de la raconter correctement au docteur de l'esprit. Elle ne possède ni la terminologie, ni les points de référence, ni aucun mot qui pourrait lui donner la plus infime indication sur ce que l'eau est. Un liquide transparent, dit-elle en faisant de son mieux. Oui, dit le thérapeute, continuez. Il l'encourage, la cajole vers l'acte de parole. Elle fait encore un effort. Un mince filet, elle l'appelle ainsi. Elle cherche soigneusement parmi les mots. Une pellicule brillante, une substance ruisselante, quelque chose de mouillé.
Gur míle maith agaibh Cliona.
Parmi les 3 poètes qui sont présents avec nous ce soir, je les admire tous, mais j'envie Eiléan Ní Chuilleanáin parce qu'elle a réussi à mener une double carrière, chose qui, à mon sens, est impossible. Elle a été universitaire et poète. Et ça, c'est assez extraordinaire parce que ce n'est pas le même cerveau, à mon avis. Je lui poserai la question plus tard. Eiléan Ní Chuilleanáin was born in Cork in, I think, what we could characterize as a milieu of intellectuals and artists. And her poetry does contain, amongst other things, a strong autobiographical element. Her poetry is also, though, anchored firmly in the reality of Irish life and evokes painful subjects. A subject that is very much in our minds and in our hearts this week. She wrote a wonderful poem called Translation, which examined, but that's not the right word for a poem. A poem doesn't examine. Confronted. Confronted, is that okay? Confronted the issue of the Magdalen laundries. Those places where young women who became pregnant were sent by society, aided by their families, and remained locked up there, sometimes until the end of their lives. Eiléan has won many prizes and awards. I think the most recent and perhaps the mark of international recognition was the Griffin Prize for Poetry, which was bestowed on her by the Canadian Griffin Foundation. Eiléan, as well as being a university professor emerita, is also a translator and has translated from Irish, from Italian, and from Romanian. And she is also a literary critic of renown who founded a very famous poetic journal in which many Irish poets had their first poems published. So it gives me great pleasure to welcome Eiléan Ní Chuilleanáin.
Merci beaucoup de m'avoir invitée. Je suis très heureuse d'être ici. I want to read in English. I will read that poem about the Magdalen laundries. It is in some way literally about the idea of a laundry as a place where things are erased, including identities. And I think that was I found it a difficult poem to get into, but that was my way into the subject. It's called For the Reburial of the Magdalens, because it was written about 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago, when the bodies of a number of women who had died in Magdalene homes were reburied without informing their families in Glasnevin Cemetery in Dublin. The outcry at the moment is also about the treatment of dead bodies, the bodies of children who died in a mother and baby home in County Galway. Translation. Translation is a word that's used for moving the relics of a saint from one place to another. The soil, frayed and sifted, evens the score. There are women here from every county, just as there were in the laundry. White light blinded and bleached out the high relief of a glance, where steam danced around stone drains and giggled and slipped across water. Assist them now, ridges under the veil, shifting, searching for their parents, their names, the edges of words grinding against nature. As if, when water sank between the rotten teeth of soap and every grasp seemed melted, one voice had begun, rising above the shuffle and hum, until every pocket in her skull blared with the note. Allow us now to hear it, sharp as an infant's cry, while the grass takes root, while the steam rises. Washed clean of idiom, the baked crust of words that made my temporary name a parasite that grew in me, that spell lifted, I lie in earth, sifted to dust. Let the bunched keys I bore slacken and fall. I rise and forget a cloud over my time.
Translation pour la réinhumation des Madeleines. La terre usée et tamisée comble l'entaille. Il y a ici des femmes de tous les comtés, comme il y en avait dans la blanchisserie. La lumière blanche aveuglait et abolissait le vif soulagement d'un regard, là où la vapeur dansait autour des conduits de pierre et ricanait et glissait sur l'eau. Assistez-les maintenant, anguleuses sous le voile, bougeant, cherchant leurs parents, leurs noms, les bords des mots, grinçant contre leur nature. Comme si, lorsque l'eau s'enfonçait entre les dents gâtées du savant et que chaque poigne semble fondre d'une unique voix, avait point, s'élevant au-dessus du piétinement et du bourdonnement, jusqu'à ce que cette note claironne dans toutes les cavités de son crâne. Laissez-nous l'entendre maintenant, aigu comme un cri de nouveau-né, tandis que l'herbe s'enracine, tandis que monte la vapeur. Une note nettoyée de tout idiome, croûte cuite, de mots qui firent mon nom temporaire parasite qui a grandi en moi. Ce maléfice est levé. Je repose dans la terre, tamisée jusqu'à la poussière. Que le faisceau des clés que je portais se desserre et tombe. Je me lève et oublie. Un nuage recouvre mon temps.
Merci. I wrote that poem because I have written a lot of poems about nuns, because I have known and been friends with many religious sisters. Having this morning visited the library of this institution, I thought I would read a poem which hasn't been translated. Sorry about that, if anybody needs a translation. It's called Carr's Lane, and what it's about is a convent in Cork, which I have partly imagined, a convent which now contains only a couple, perhaps, of old nuns who have sold their library. You can see the tall front door, but don't expect to be admitted. On your left is Carr's Lane, at the corner a newspaper shop. Up the lane a door, stone steps worn pale by rain and people climbing, unlocks at the agreed time on quiet days for callers they know. Scholars disagree about Carr's Lane. Is it Cart's Lane corrupted? Or was there a prosperous local merchant family called Carr? They could have grown rich selling butter to the transatlantic trade or beef abroad. If their books gave their story, those have all been cleared. The dealer came one Monday early. The shelves were bare before noon. The library is closed off. Dangerous. Woodworm in the floorboards. I'll read a poem that has been translated, and it's called In Her Other House. It's partly about my father and his family, a man with 6 sisters, 3 of whom became nuns. But it's also about trying to imagine at the beginning of the Irish peace process how you would write about a country which was, one hoped, no longer going to be at war. And so I imagined a family where nobody has to come down early to look at the other people's post to make sure that they're not getting mail that they should be. It's called In Her Other House. In my other house, all the books are lined on shelves and may be taken down in a curious mood. The postman arrives with letters to all the family. The table is spread and cleared by invisible hands. It is the dead who serve us, and I see my father's glass and the bottle of sour stout at hand, guarding his place, so I know it cannot be real. The only boy with 6 sisters never learned to set a table, though books lined up at his command. In this room with a fire, books, a meal, and a minute when everyone is out of sight, washing their hands, a man comes through the door, shedding his coat. He turns like a dancer before it touches the ground, retrieving a lily from somewhere. Where he has been, you turn out your pockets every time a door is opened, but the flower has travelled with him, and he is in safe hands. On the shelf, a letter for him flashes a wide, bright stamp. He mutters once more, "Here goes in the name of God." Women's voices sound outside. He breathes deeply and quickly and returns to talk to the fire, smiling and warming his hands. In this house, there is no need to wait for the verdict of history, and each page lies open to the version of every other. I'm very aware that Cleanna is working harder than any of us tonight.
And it's a pleasure for me to read the translation. Dans son autre maison. Dans son autre maison, tous les livres sont alignés sur des étagères et l'on peut les prendre dans une impulsion de curiosité. Le facteur arrive avec des lettres pour toute la famille. La table est mise et desservie par des mains invisibles. Ce sont les morts qui nous servent. Et je vois le verre de mon père et la bouteille de stout acide à côté qui gardent la place. Je sais aussi que cela ne peut être réel. Le seul garçon parmi 6 sœurs n'a pris jamais à mettre la table. Mais sur son ordre, les livres s'alignent. Dans cette pièce, avec un feu, des livres, un repas et une minute où tout le monde a disparu pour aller se laver les mains, un homme entre par la porte et se débarrasse de son manteau. Il pivote tel un danseur avant que le manteau ne touche le sol, recueillant un lys de quelque part. Là où il s'est tenu, on vide ses poches chaque fois qu'une porte s'ouvre. Mais la fleur a voyagé avec lui et il est en bonne main. Sur l'étagère, une lettre à son nom arbore un grand timbre brillant. Il marmonne à nouveau. J'y vais. avec l'aide de Dieu. Des voix féminines résonnent dehors. Ils respirent vite et profondément et retournent parler au feu en souriant et en se réchauffant les mains. Dans cette maison, nul besoin d'attendre le verdict de l'histoire et chaque page est ouverte à la version de toutes les autres.
I'm going to read two more poems, one of which has been translated and the other one not. I should say, in my life, I'm surrounded by men, and also the poems that have been translated seem to mostly have men in them. So it's perhaps, well, some of them are fairly appropriate. This poem was written to my son and his wife on the day of their wedding. And it was written as a private poem, but has become fairly widespread. They don't seem to mind. To Neil Woods and Zenia Ostrovskaya, married in Dublin on the 9th of September 2009. When you look out across the fields and you both see the same star pitching its tent on the point of the steeple, that is the time to set out on your journey with half a loaf and your mother's blessing. Leave behind the places that you knew. All that you leave behind, you will find once more. You will find it in the stories. The sleeping beauty in her high tower with her talking cat asleep, solid beside her feet. You will see her again. When the cat wakes up, he will speak in Irish and Russian, and every night he will tell you a different tale about the firebird that stole the golden apples, gone every morning out of the emperor's garden, and about the King of Ireland's son and the enchanter's daughter. The story the cat does not know is the book of Ruth, and I have no time to tell you how she fared when she went out at night and she was afraid in the beginning of the barley harvest, or how she trusted to strangers and stood by her word. You will have to trust me. She lived happily ever after.
À Neil Woods et Zenia Ostrovskaya, qui se marièrent à Dublin le 9 septembre 2009. Quand votre regard se portera sur les champs et que vous verrez tous deux la même étoile planter sa tente sur la pointe du clocher, alors ce sera l'heure de commencer votre voyage avec un demi-pain et la bénédiction de votre mère. Laissez derrière vous les lieux familiers. Tout ce que vous laissez derrière, vous le retrouverez. Vous le trouverez dans les contes. La belle au bois dormant dans sa haute tour, avec son chat qui parle, profondément endormi à ses pieds. Vous la reverrez. Quand le chat se réveillera, il parlera irlandais et russe. Et chaque soir, il vous contera une histoire différente sur l'oiseau de feu qui vole les pommes d'or, disparu chaque matin du jardin de l'empereur, et sur le fils du roi d'Irlande et la fille de l'enchanteur, l'histoire que le chat ne connaît pas et le livre de Ruth. Et je n'ai pas le temps de vous conter ce qu'il advint d'elle quand elle sortit le soir et qu'elle eut peur au commencement de la moisson de l'orge, ou quand elle se fia à des étrangers et tint sa parole. Fiez-vous à moi. Elle fut heureuse ensuite, jusqu'à la fin de ses jours.
Merci. The last one I'm going to read is also a family poem. It was written for my elder grandson, and it's called Incipit Hodie. It begins today, and I'm choosing this one to finish with because it is also about language, about looking at a baby and realizing that he's already beginning the journey towards language, even though he was quite a way off from producing a word. When you fell into our language like a fish into water, no wonder you were blinded by the splash you made. We wiped our eyes, but for you it took longer. It sprayed like feathers around you while you tried making out the noises, and slowly the stream ran calmer, though it took you a while to trust your ears and eyes. How are you supposed to grasp the water's flow? But look, those flourishes are pebbles and fish. Fish are slipping away. The water is clear and still. When you reach for words, they will be hard like pebbles in your hand. Merci beaucoup.